The Predator has long made appearances in crossovers with some pretty famous comic book characters, from fighting the likes of Batman to trying to slay the ultimate prey Superman, and even taking on the Justice League. There's been no shortage of DC appearances that the alien race has made. Now, outside of DC and Dark Horse, the Predator hasn't really come into contact with other famous heroes or villains, and that's thanks to a bunch of legalities. But those crossovers got us thinking, what if the Predator came to the Marvel Universe?
I think you know what is on the ship. The ultimate predators.
Now, ignoring the obvious issue of rights here, let's jump into hypothetical land and imagine what that would actually look like. So if you're familiar with the Predators from films, you'll know that hunting is kinda their jam. The recent Predator film that came out in 2018 revealed that the Predators have a bit more of an endgame when it comes to this hunt of theirs. They're aiming to splice their DNA and become the predominant race in the universe, hence going around from planet to planet, civilization to civilization, to learn more about the other species there, and how they can dominate them, and improve on their own genetics. In terms of intergalactic colonization, it's definitely a more brutal approach, but hey, they are a race with innate violent instincts, so kinda makes sense. Needless to say, if they were integrated into the Marvel Universe, it would surely be as a means of trying to conquer planets and races. The thing is though, compared to DC, Marvel has arguably a more sophisticated galactic presence. This attempt at conquering and becoming superior to other races would be exponentially more difficult, and they wouldn't be able to operate under the radar as they have in their own cinematic universe. But let's say their race went primarily undetected until they decide to make their first move on a race. Now, arguably, considering the superheroes who are established on Earth would not be their first target. So, who would be? Well, let's take a look at the kinds of planets that they'd be eyeing. For starters, the Kree Empire would be an ambitious choice for a first target. Just because of the massive scale of what the Kree claim as their territory, and the skilled and powerful warriors that they have in their military arsenal, the Kree wouldn't be the smartest move right off the bat. Then there's the Nova Empire. While the Nova Corps would prove as manageable but interestingly challenging prey, the size of the Nova Empire is something to be gawked at. Pretty big. Same goes for the Builders, although their DNA would be very appealing. Then there's the Clintars. Getting their hands on symbiote DNA would be helpful for the Predator's cause, but it also potentially causes a huge threat. If something goes wrong, which it usually does when trying to control a symbiote, the Predators put themselves in a vulnerable position. Without the right kind of tech and science, there's a very good chance that the warriors who go to Clintar would just end up possessed by a symbiote. But then there's also the chance that the Predators would have a strong enough willpower to avoid being fully consumed by the Clintars that bond with them. But on the flip side, if they are, their violent tendencies and desire for galactic domination would make for a threat that the rest of the universe probably wouldn't want showing up on their doorstep. Risky, but it's a possibility. So, what's next? Asgardians and any other godly race like the Eternals would be out of the question. They would be way too powerful of a foe. The Skrulls would be a good choice to target. Because of their shape-shifting nature, their DNA would surely be appealing to the Predators. Same goes with the Chitauri, who would be another possible starting target, and at least prove to hold their own if the Predators used them or amalgamated their DNA for their own uses. Now, of course, there's hundreds of other planets that we're not discussing in this video, some of which have much weaker resistance to military attacks, so there is a possibility that the Predators could slowly divide and conquer smaller civilizations and build up their galactic status in the Marvel Universe that way. This raises another question though. Since there are so many races out there in the Marvel Universe, how good of a chance do the Predators really stand against most of them? Sure, they could provide a whole lot of trouble, but in terms of overall power and the kinds of abilities they have, one could argue that going up against the might of the Kree Empire or even the heroes of Earth, a team like the Avengers, there's a solid chance that the Predators would face defeat. Compared to some of the other entities and beings out there, they're not all that strong. Sure, they pose an interesting threat for Bruce Wayne's Batman over in DC, but there's a reason why they haven't tried to fully invade Earth over there, even if they have messed around with the Justice League. So in other words, they'd have to rely on being creative rather than just simply brute force. But rather than a full-blown military attack, there's another way the Predators could manage infiltrating other races. Aside from being hunters, they're masters of stealth, and that's something that could come in handy when it comes to a planet like Earth. Now say they manage to send one of their own down to the planet, and somehow manage to be completely undetected in doing so. They break into one of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s facilities and manage to steal some pretty deadly weapons or artifacts that they've kept there for protection. They could then use what they recover against Earth and Earth's heroes, in hopes that it would give them an upper hand in the inevitable battle. And they'd test it out by returning with their stolen goods, going home, creating a weapon, and then sending out a small hunting party to test out their new tech. But this video is full told them butts. Here's the thing. In order to pull something off like that, they would have to put some serious retcon and research into a plan like that. And the second that they land on Earth, S.H.I.E.L.D. or some other organization with advanced technology is just bound to figure out that they're there. For the purpose of this video, let's just say that that organization is S.H.I.E.L.D. Once on S.H.I.E.L.D.'s radar, they've made themselves a bit of a target that Earth and its greatest heroes will be aware of, and S.H.I.E.L.D. will keep a steady eye on. So, that's all in the comics though. Earth 616 has a much larger, more complex history and more prevalent superpowered ecosystem of heroes and villains that exist on it compared to some of Marvel's other Earths. If the Predators were integrated into the Marvel Universe and successfully are a threat, it would have to be on an Earth outside of 616 where they pose more of that threat. Alternatively, if they were to pop up in the MCU, they would surely be more of a threat since that universe isn't fully established yet, in terms of having a roster of superpowered individuals like Earth 616 has. The arrival of a Predator hunting party would make for one hell of a battle, especially if they were fighting against characters the likes of the Punisher or Jessica Jones or someone who isn't the likes of the Hulk or Captain Marvel. Hell, a battle between Iron Man and a Predator would make for an interesting fight. But eventually it's safe to say that the hunting party would be defeated if it came across someone like Thor, who would easily put an end to their hunt. Facing off against just one of these heroes would make for an interesting conflict and an even more interesting combat. But when facing a team like the Avengers, well, things wouldn't be looking up for our Predator pals. All in all, it's safe to say that the Predators, when it comes to comic book crossovers, work best when they're isolated. Have a Predator go up against only Iron Man, have a hunting party try to take down the Hulk, let one come face to face with the Punisher, and it may play out like the original Predator film, but in New York, and likely with a whole lot more bullets and explosions. But if you try to bring the Predators into the grander scheme of things, they would have a hard time standing a chance against the kinds of power that exists out there in the Marvel Universe. So it wouldn't be surprising that if the rights ever changed and they showed up in the panels rubbing shoulders with your favorite Marvel characters, they would likely be involved in isolated storylines just like they are in the DC and Dark Horse universes. Alright, there we have it friends. What are your thoughts on the Predator franchise? Would you ever be interested in reading a Predator Marvel crossover? And if so, what characters from the Marvel Universe would you like to see encounter these deadly hunters? Give us a shout in the comments below and let us know. If you dug this video, spread the love, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Nerd for more videos on comics, from lists to hypotheticals to fan theories and much more. In the meantime though, thanks for watching friends. I'll catch you on the next video.